Hey guys, it's Logan here with Hydra572. Today I'm bringing you a first impressions of the Quartermaster QTR4. If you haven't heard of Quartermaster knives before, that's alright. I'd imagine you are not in the minority. This is an awesome blade. I've already had it out a little bit and played with it. As you guys can see, it is very large and just a sight to behold. I actually decided to purchase this blade when I was thinking of the reviews for my Cold Steel Voyager XL and my Espada Large, and I was thinking of saying in the reviews for these blades that it didn't actually matter what I thought of them because there aren't any competition for these knives that isn't made by Cold Steel. And now that's still basically right. These blades are a little bit longer than the Quartermaster, and as usually, I was right, but I saw this on Blade HQ and thought that it might be a little bit negligent to not mention that there was one other very interesting, very large blade produced here in America. Very cool looking, less traditional than the Cold Steels. Just an awesome steampunk futuristic type design going on with the inverted tanto here and the differential grind. Typically I'm not a fan of two different grinds on the same blade, but here I don't mind it so much. It's not as pronounced as it looks. That's just because there's some finish in there that didn't get scratched up as much as the rest of, I don't know if this is an acid stone wash, something like that. This is the Texas T finished QTR4. And as you guys can see, the normal would be black G10 and a sort of dark satin polish on the blade. Here we have gray G10 and, like I said, the acid stonewash fallout type finish. Do some blade sharpness testing here real quick. Here I have printer paper. And that is a very thick stock. There you can see on the portion that isn't ground out to conserve weight toward the tip, but it still sliced our printer paper pretty well. Here I have some magazine paper. We'll go ahead and give a try. So still slicing, like I said, a very broad blade stock, but still cutting pretty dang well. The handle is comfortable, but not perfect. I would say the Cold Steel handles are a little bit more comfortable, but they're also simpler, a little bit less futuristic looking, different lines to be sure. And perhaps the one area that the Quartermaster is more comfortable is in this really far extended grip. You sort of have a bulb to grab onto and a place to rest your thumb. So that is slightly more comfortable than like on the Espada, having your two fingers down here below this choil. It's a little bit more comfortable to get really extended on the Quartermaster. Overall, first impressions are really good. It deploys smooth with what I would say is a weak detent. And I don't know if it's safe to say that the detent is weak as much as the locking liner is thin and doesn't exert a whole lot of pressure on the blade. You guys can see for a really huge stock that is a relatively thin liner, and there actually is some lock creep, I would say. It locks up pretty tight side to side, but when you push forward on the blade once the lock is engaged, you push the liner lock a little bit further in, and it locks up a little bit tighter. I'll be interested to see if it wears in over time. As I said, a very attractive knife to my mind. Some people are going to hate it. That's just the way it is with any knife, but certainly a futuristic knife like this is going to have a variety of opinions. I think it looks very cool, and as I said, I purchased it because there really isn't a whole lot of competition in this very large knife, 5-6 inch, foot long overall type category. A little bit more handle in the handle to blade ratio on this than on other large knife offerings like the Cold Steels. But you have a flipper here, which actually works pretty well. As I said, the detent is pretty weak, so it's not like you're breaking an awesome detent. But it works pretty well, snaps in pretty decisively. That little bit of lock creep that I wish wasn't there, but overall, I think it might wear in, and overall, just a beautiful blade. I picked it up, Quartermaster being a relatively new knife company that wants to spread publicity, had an awesome Black Friday sale. I got this puppy at 50% off. I paid a little bit over $100. These things are $200 or so on their website with this finish. I think when they make their way to Blade HQ with this finish, they'll be a little bit cheaper. Don't quote me on it, but I would say neighborhood $150, $160. Still a little bit expensive, but overall an awesome blade. Beautiful look, actually. I think it's incredible. Some people are going to hate it. That's the way it is. It's certainly going to be a divisive design. But I hope that Quartermaster begins to get a little bit more credit. Before we stop, we'll take a look inside. They gave me a little Quartermaster patch. Not sure where I'll be able to run this. Maybe on a vest, something like that. And here we have authentication certificate. We've got the name of the person and perfect production quality. I would say that's basically true. I did see one area, I forget if it was on the flipper. Yeah, right there. I have to get really close so that you guys can even see it. Let's see if we can get this puppy to focus. There is one small defect. If I can bring up some paper. There you guys can see one little defect. Certainly nothing to worry about in a production knife. As I said, a relatively new company. So, let's take a look at their catalog really quick. Like as I said, many people won't know their catalog. So here we have a variety of blades. That QTR4, I believe, was hot for them over their sale. There we see the QTR6 and 7, two large blades as well. And we'll flip on over to the other side. And there's what the normal QTR4 would look like. As I said, this is the Texas T finish. I believe they're experimenting with a different finish with a Jade G10. I think that's very attractive as well. Quartermaster is very interactive with their audience on Instagram, and I believe that's how it's pronounced because that's how it's written on Blade HQ, is Quartermaster. There's their logo and their stylized spelling of their name. But overall, I am excited. This is a very cool blade, very large, and as I've said before, competition is always healthy, and big blades that are folding is one thing that we don't see enough competition in. So I'm happy to have this Quartermaster, give it a test out, and I'll be happy to see how Quartermaster develops as a relatively new US-based knife company. Thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for more of the same.